I'm pretty sure I did it last week and the week before.
Yeah. Okay. I can do it this week.
Okay.
Okay. Our Father in heaven, we're so very grateful for this beautiful Thursday morning. We're grateful for all that Thou has blessed us with, and that we could get together as a group. And we ask that Thou would have us to have the Spirit within our conversation and be able to think clearly. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Okie dokie. So, quick synopsis of the case. Barbara Norris just got the job as the nursing manager at the GSU, where they're having lots of different problems. And
hey, Chad, can we get your last name so we can make sure and get you credit for being here in the classroom?
And
can you just type it there in the chat room and I'll fix it for you?
Let me.
Are you the gentleman from Ingersoll Rand?
Can you guys hear?
Oh, okay, I remember you from chat. I'll fix it for you, Chad. No problem. Thank you.
You guys hear that in the background?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Sorry about that. I was trying to, as you started talking, I was trying to look at things. That's why I paused, because I was trying to see if you guys could hear him or not, and try and mute him. Okay. Hold on. Yeah, 1 sec. I'm going to try and mute that so that doesn't happen. Okay, so while I do that, does somebody else want to give a synopsis so I can make sure that doesn't happen again?
Sure, I can do it. Okay, so Barbara Norris, nurse manager, in a unit that really isn't functioning. I don't know. Did anybody else get that vibe that this place just wasn't functioning?
It, straight up, her friends don't do it. It's too crazy up there.
That's right. Her mentor. Okay. So yeah. Anyway, I felt kind of bad for the lady because she's like, I want a challenge, but you're like, you're gonna be burned out by this. The woman that knew her. So anyway, I thought it was very brave of her. So, she goes in, and everybody has complaints, and she starts gathering up the complaints and kind of, I've forgotten what the complaints are now. Did anybody else notice that they all kind of went along with the other reading that we had? They were all rooted in those 4 things that we were talking about.
Yeah. No, I definitely noticed that connection.
Yeah.
Open up my case study here so I can find it.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Real quick, opening it up. I just muted that guy too while I was at it. So
no worries. Yeah. So things like our culture does not value collaboration and teamwork. Can't count on others to help. Our work isn't acknowledged and contribution is not valued. It's kind of interesting to see the different, you get 2 people saying basically the same thing, but on polar opposite sides.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Does that cover it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it does. So, the discussion questions. First one is that what are the root problems that Barbara Norris is facing? And you kind of covered a little bit of it.
Well,
there.
I think too the other major root that she's dealing with is nobody trusts each other.
Yeah.
I kind of put that as the main problem was the teamwork, because they listed a whole bunch of things that were going on between not being treated fairly by others in the hospital that aren't in their team. And they also mentioned staffing problems and technical problems that they're having with machines and stuff like that, and their schedules and their pay. But what I kind of talked about was in my thing was that I felt like the root problem was the teamwork, and if they could figure out how to work well as a team, then the other things would kind of naturally follow, including technical problems, and it would be easier to solve. That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm. So what I put, like the 3 obstacles affecting, I didn't really have like an order, but I think so what I put was they have like the lowest employee satisfaction, and they're also where they work, there's a culture of confrontation, people blaming each other, and favoritism, and the staffs, like the people that work, are just dissatisfied and unmotivated, and patient satisfaction scores averages are declining, and then facing many difficulties from low motivation because of the budget problem, and that also like leads to like I feel like the whole thing is because of, not the whole thing, but most of the thing is because of the budget problem. And like I also put it more throughout like my little case study write up that there's like I think the employee job satisfaction is like the thing that's really bringing them down. So, yeah.
I thought it was kind of interesting in the other reading. I don't remember what it was called, but the employee motivation, that's what it was called.
Mm-hmm.
That it was like if you only focus on one of these things, that you can still have, like, you can be perfect in that area, but you still have problems because all of them need to be covered, and I think you're right. Like trust is a huge component of all of them, because we do have to trust our I don't know, employers, team members, whatever, to fulfill those things that they've said they will. But I think it's interesting that they have to, like Natalie was saying, like they have to have the financial side, and they have to have the bonding side, and they have to have, like each one. The people have to feel rewarded. They have to feel part of the team. They have to feel, it's all these things that have to be addressed. You can't just leave one out, and I felt kind of bad for Barbara Norris, because there's only so much she can do with the reward system,
Yeah. Something that kind of like got me mad about this whole thing is like she got the job, and then the guy, what was his name? Like, who was he? The nursing director literally said that she was doing the right thing and is counting on her to turn the unit around and do it fast. And I thought that was just like a lot of pressure. Like I know like once again, like a job, like you get to do things, but it was just like weird that I was like, once she accepted the job kind of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, like there's a lot more that could be done. I don't know. Yeah, I had that same feeling, like he's kind of just putting it off on her.
Yeah, that's what kind of, and before what you were talking about, where you like have to fix all the problems, otherwise it's eventually all going to spiral back kind of thing. That's kind of how I focused my like write-up or whatever. I picked like 3 of the biggest problems I felt that like if you improved those, you'd get like your foundation, and then because those were improved, the other like littler ones could slowly, like I felt like the biggest one, like the teamwork. Once they got like a teamwork mindset, then it marked off like that you couldn't count on others to help you, or you weren't acknowledged for your contribution. And like then after that, I picked like that they didn't feel like they had input. So if they did have input, then they could delegate tasks to like getting the other things done, like finding out what the performance review was and like going through all those steps. So that's kind of the approach I went on it, because you're right. Like after reading the other article, it's like you can't just pick one and expect it to fix all of your problems.
Yeah. I think it's interesting though, like I don't know, I really I did a similar thing, except I kind of instead of picking the problems from the group, I chose to go from the 4 categories. So I was like, so these are the ones under bonding, these are the ones under rewards, these are the ones that, or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the acquire, you know, and then the rest of it. And once I did that, it became really obvious, like you said, like if you start to address it, I think if you start to address one, the others are easier to address, but you have to go through all of them. You know, even if you do everything you can to get everybody to bond, it doesn't matter if people don't feel rewarded, you know?
Exactly.
Or if they don't feel like the system is just, you know? I mean, how many times have we been in a place where we're like, we really like everybody, but the system is unfair, and so we don't like it. You know?
Right. So,
Like, oh, sorry. I was just going to say on that last one, I've been in a lot of school groups that are like that. Like, I really like the group members, but the way that it's organized is completely unfair. You know, work left to one person or 3 people, you know, and 2 or 3 people who are really nice but aren't there. This group obviously is not like that, but you know,
right.
I think you see that a lot.
Right. So, based on Barbara getting the job, how well has Barbara Norris done in her first month, and was she a good choice for the position?
I said yes to her being the choice for the position because one, she has like experience and she has like the schooling for managerial like mindset. And I felt that just because she was like going against all of her favorite people in her life saying don't do this, and was like, I'm gonna do it anyways and I'm gonna fix it. Like from a HR standpoint, you want someone that's that pumped up to get this done because it seems like a huge problem and everyone seems to know about it, but no one's done anything about it. So that's the type of person I'd pick. So I said she was a good choice. And then I said she did a good job because in the first month, you're just trying to get to know the people you're working with and like finding out their problems and getting them to talk to each other in like a public place, I felt like was brave to do because that puts you in an awkward position. Like she said, like the awkward silences, like those are uncomfortable. And
Yeah.
she did. I don't know. I felt like she did enough. I think there was more she could do, but I think she did a good job for a month.
Yeah. I agree with that. I couldn't have said it better.
Yeah. That's exactly what I thought too. I said based on the fact that she has a lot of experience with the company already because they're hiring from within. Mm-hmm. So she knows the company well. She's been a part of a team that does work, so she knows what it should look like within the company. So I felt like that gave her the edge she needs to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I liked that they were hiring her from in the company, you know? Like that she'd already knew the structure. It kind of reminded me of that other one that we did where they're like, you know, the stockbroker one where they're like, oh, should we hire from outside? You know, get a star or
Mm-hmm.
So Natalie, were you
Yeah. I actually said no. So yeah.
Okay.
So, and what I put was I said that basically that I'm just gonna read what I put. It says, "To me, Barbara lacks of motivation and teamwork because it seems that she could have made a change pretty fast, but has interpersonal and intergroup conflict and the performance reviews procedures." Yeah, that's what I put. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, she seems pretty solid, but it was like also the way that some people like talked to her that was kind of like, that's not good. So
Like they didn't accept her?
yeah, like, and obviously it's like a conflict thing that like where the work there are in.
Mhm.
But yeah, I just thought that she had like kind of like problems with the people that she's working with, and that's not like good. And like obviously like that's not good everywhere, but I don't know,
Do you
that's what I
think
put.
it's kind of like the dysfunctions of the team that we're reading? Like the conflict has to come out first, and then they can be a team.
Yeah, but I'm just within like what I've read. I don't know. That's what I put.
No, I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah, that's
Makes sense because she's already had a full month, and all that's happened is that one meeting. I mean, it's hard to say what she actually had going on because I would assume taking over a big manager role would be pretty busy, so it would take a long time to really get around to everything. But I'm not sure. I don't know. Seems like your top priority would be making sure getting people on track right away. So I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah, no, that performance review thing is one thing that concerned me because it was brought up like twice in that meeting, and I feel like that's like a big thing that the manager is in charge of, but also like the people higher up. So I feel like if she got that under control and like they figured that out, it'd smooth over a lot of people's concerns because they wouldn't be bad mouthing each other anymore because the performance reviews would show the truth. And so I think it would eliminate things. But because I've never been in a position like that or in a hospital, I have no idea who's actually in charge of that. But you're right, that did concern me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that kind of leads into the next part of this question. That it says, what changes is she trying to make right now, and why?
I think she's trying really hard to get everyone to just talk about their problems instead of like going behind each other's backs and bad mouthing each other.
Have you guys ever heard of it's like, was it, I don't remember if was it in this one where like it's the forming, storming, norming, and performing? Have you ever heard of that thing?
I don't think it was in this class. Maybe
Okay. Because I just read it in my other class, but one of the things that I thought was interesting is it's to describe like how you form a team, that you form, and then the next step is called storming. And I've always thought, oh well, that's like brainstorming, and from my study of it this time, it's not. It's the conflict. You have to get the conflict out in the air and have the arguments, and then get your kind of like team rhythm going on, so kind of where people's buttons are and you don't step on them. And I think that's kind of what she's doing, is she's letting them get all of that kind of what they've been bottling up, the passive aggressive kind of tendencies out, so that they can start to actually build something together.
Yeah, I can see that.
It reminded me a lot of the book that we're reading. Like, there's a lot of the same problems going on there.
Exactly.
And it's really funny because I've had several friends who are nurses, and this is like exactly what they were working with. I think it's a really high stress job, and it's easy to fall into that passive aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of facing conflict with your coworkers as well as your patients.
Right. Not to just completely go on to a different thought,
That's
but
fine.
what I was thinking about too, because in what changes she made, particularly thinking about the meeting that they had. I will say that I did at first, as I was reading it, when she said that she had them all write down their concerns, then read them all out loud, and then afterwards, after reading them, said, "Does anybody want to stand up and clarify this?" And she asked them several times. As I was reading that, I was like, "This sounds." I know she's trying to like find a or a solution, but this sounds like she's just gonna start a fight. Is what I was thinking as I was reading it. It sounds like it's because if you get everybody's blood boiling over the issues and then have them all actually specifically start talking about it, that was the first thought that was going through my head. Is this is just gonna cause arguments?
But at the same time, that's kind of what they needed. They needed to get it out. Did you notice, like, the first two, especially, one was like, "Nobody helps me," and the other one was like, "I don't have time to help you."
Or then there was that girl that was like, "You guys are mean," and she just like crying. I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's awful. But I don't know, the lady that was like, "No one helps me," is like that old grouchy one that like doesn't. I don't know. And then there's like these young ones that are like, "All I need is like someone to teach me how to do this." But the old grouchy ones are busy, and I don't know. But
it's just like. All of us have been there, right?
Yeah.
Like, we've all had those coworkers that are mean.
No, I think the meeting was good because it like opened everyone's eyes. So like some people are looking for help and some people feel like, no, I can't help you. And like then everyone's like, oh, like I guess everyone has their own view on how this is working, and I guess we should figure out how to fix it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I thought. I thought ultimately by the end it ended up turning out good. Like I said, as I was reading it, I thought this could end up in a fight, but then afterwards I was like, well, I guess that ended up on a more positive note because then she got them all thinking about, okay, what can we do to solve these problems?
Yeah.
So then that, I guess the next, the follow-up question to that is, what are are three obstacles that are affecting change that Norris should anticipate, and how should she address them? What are three obstacles?
I think her number one obstacle is her superiors. They've established this culture, and she's going to try and change it. So that's going to be hard.
Yeah.
I think habit, too, on the part of the employees, the team members. It's going to be hard not to fall back into this habit.
Right. It's one of those things, I don't know, when people get complaining and talking about each other behind their backs, it really does kind of become, like you said, a habit. It becomes a culture to do that. Mm-hmm. And when new employees join, if that's how the environment they walk into, they naturally kind of fall into it as well.
Yeah. It kind of makes you wonder, like, at least it does for me, why there's such an emphasis in the church on not gossiping and not backbiting. Like, it's really important not to do this because it's such a human tendency,
Right.
We all easily fall into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jamie and Allie, what do you guys think first?
Well, I already said mine. I could say mine again. Where is it? Okay. The culture of confrontation, dissatisfied and unmotivated staff, and just difficulties of low motivation because of budget problem. So that's what I put. Yes. But I definitely agree with Amy about how like the first thing has to be like the higher ups and doing what like working with them and stuff.
Right.
I think not necessarily like the higher up. I think when you say higher ups, I think about the people that are above her, which is a problem too, because they want to support her, but also like if employees start complaining about her, they're gonna like blame it on her, not necessarily employees. But I also think about like the lead nurses that have been there for 30 plus years, and no one likes to change. Like,
Yeah.
even if it is for the good, or even if it does make your job like a happier place, like it's still an annoyance to learn new policies and stuff. So I think she's gonna have a really hard time with that. But like I think the young nurses that are like the one that's crying because she feels like this is a horrible environment, like they are the only people that are really gonna back her up on all of this. So I think she needs to
Yeah, exactly.
motivate them to be better.
Right. So then,
Mhm.
in addressing the problems, the last question now is come up with an action plan. Come up with specific actions that she should take. So, what do you guys think would be like the very first thing that she should do where she's at right now?
I said she should keep having the meetings and like try to build a teamwork mindset within the employees, because that is the only way they're ever going to accomplish enough to make it a different environment if they work together.
Yeah.
Right.
That was one of my first ones too.
Yeah.
Was to, keep pursuing this.
Yeah. Well, I said that her first meeting was a good start because of that end where she said, okay, how are we going to solve this problem? Because as we were talking about, when it comes to people not wanting to change, the change is something that is really hard to force on a person. So you kind of need to, like, the deepest like personal changes that come are when you teach yourself. So I said that initial meeting was good because it got them thinking about solutions, because she can't just tell them what to do to change their personality. I mean, she can, but it will be more effective for them to come up with the answer themselves, because then they start to work towards it because they realize that that's what needs to happen rather than being told that's what needs to happen, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. One of the other things that I had was for building trust and communication was to do something like mentors or partnerships between the nurses. Like, I mean, obviously you don't want to stick two people together who fight, but to get people talking and working together, because the biggest complaint on that seemed to be that either people were refusing to answer questions or they weren't helping and leaving the work to all to do for someone else to do. So by encouraging them to work together, you're starting to, like you said, have them come up with options or answers themselves.
Right.
I think that's so true.
I mean, I also, along that note, said if they can start, coming up with solutions and working as a team better themselves, then it will make it easier to then decide what they need after that. Whether it's because she did mention in the meeting, I want you guys to help me come up with what we need to do if I need to go talk to the people above her and try and get a temporary temporarily get away from the hiring freeze or whatever that was
Right,
going
if they
on.
needed to get an office person.
So if they can get working as a team, then it'll be easier to make decisions after that as to who they need to hire, what steps they need to take.
Yeah,
That's something
that's a good idea.
So what other things should we include in an action plan?
I think all the ones we've talked about are really good. Just, I don't know. I feel like if they can't get the team down, then there's no point in fixing these problems because they're not going to stay fixed because no one's going to be able to decide together what needs fixed.
I do think she can improve the review system.
Yeah.
You know, that's like you said earlier, Jamin, that's something she has control over. You know, she doesn't really have a lot of control over like the hiring freeze or increases in pay, but she can make the review system really simple and really transparent. So, you know, and come up with other ways to reward people so that they feel like they're being recognized for what they're doing. And they're motivated to actually continue to do it.
Right.
Hmm.
You know, I think as far as specific things to try and help teamwork and planning, I also, just an idea and a thought would be to start doing more team building type exercises as well. The meetings are a good start, but she could also start doing team building exercises and meetings, and maybe do a little bit of extra training too with them, like on bedside manner, stuff like that. Just help them get good with their patients so that it kind of translates into their team.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good, I like that one.
That was kind of like a specific action that I had, thought about it after reading it. Like, just some ideas.
What I put was to develop clear communication, acknowledge the conflict management, find things to motivate each other. And then I just listed some things that could help from the employee motivation thing that we read. That were just like little things like reduce repetitive work, increase employees' feelings of recognition and achievement, provide opportunities for employee advancement and employee growth. And I just said that it would fix like the job satisfaction, reducing turnover, and improving productivity of employees is what they need to do. Yeah, that's what I put.
No, I definitely think that's very good. I don't know. I think all of these are really good ideas. Doing anything in this situation would help, right? Like,
Yeah.
At the same time, doing anything is going to be hard.
yeah.
Yeah, it was just like random little things that I saw, and I was like, okay, like, yeah.
Right. So it does say in the agenda to consider the 4 drive theories. We kind of already talked about it a little bit. The drive to acquire, drive to bond, drive to comprehend, and drive to defend.
I always forget the comprehend one.
Yeah. It's just to consider that as well in creating a plan. It does specifically ask you, how does GSU's reward system, how does the GSU reward system fulfill the drive to achieve and acquire?
Mm-hmm.
I think at the moment it doesn't.
Yeah,
and that's part of the problem. Like, it needs to be changed so that because it's violating 2 of them right now: the drive to acquire and the drive to defend, because it's not transparent and it doesn't do anything. So I think that should be like, for Barbara Norris herself, I think that should be her first spot where she addresses it. She can work on the team building and the bonding and, getting people to talk and work together over time. That takes time to adjust to, but she can change that right away and, build some form of recognition into it. Because acquire doesn't necessarily mean, financial stuff. It can be, influence. It can be, prestige, those sorts of things. Power is recognized as a commodity a lot of times.
Right.
So that's why those things like, the employee of the month actually mean something to us, because they do give us that almost like bragging rights,
Yeah.
privileges, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it is. Everybody does want to be recognized for when they're doing a good job,
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not knocking that. I just,
Yeah.
I think you have to recognize that is part of human nature if you're going to try and lead a group.
Yeah.
Long term, especially.
You're right.
Always cracks me up in these little groups, that we do for school, because a lot of these team building things don't really apply with us because it's so short. Like, doesn't do as much good for us to find a way to reward each other, because our grades are pretty much our reward, and
Yeah.
it's short enough you can be like, I'll survive. It's one semester.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, maybe that's just me, and maybe I'm looking at it totally wrong, but yeah.
Well, and in the same thing, I like, because all the different classes I'm taking right now have different groups, and I'll say one of the groups that I'm in does not work well together, and it kind of ends up translating in you doing a lot or most of our group projects and stuff.
Oh.
We will say that so I can see where, even for a short time, maybe not with this class as much, because most of our work is just getting together and talking about the case studies, and it does help that all of us have read the case studies, so I can see where there's some teamwork, in that, the fact that we do come prepared and whatnot, because I do have other classes where one of the groups I'm in, like I said, one kid just has not gotten in contact with us once the whole semester, hasn't responded to anything, so he has
it's hard.
part of it, and it's my marketing class, so we have to come up with all these marketing plans as a team, and it's really hard to get the one just doesn't do it, and the other two are kind of hard to get together as well, and I have ended up doing the majority of the work, and so it kind of is hard even in a small group setting on an online class. I know it's been difficult, and I've ended up having to do extra hours because I don't get as much help, that may so I can see where it could apply to us a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. I hadn't really quite thought about that part.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not knocking what you're saying, but I'm.
No, I know. I see what you're saying. You're kind of you're growing what I was saying.
Yeah.
I'm not objecting.
Yeah, just from experience, I know that without having group participation, it does make it.
Yeah. Am I frozen or?
Yeah, he froze.
Okay. Well, he's recording, so hopefully he comes back.
Yeah.
Nope, he's gone forever. Secretly, he's just making that face and not talking.
That would be kind of funny. That would be hard to do, though.
So.
I would laugh. I think we've pretty much covered everything on here, though. So
Yeah.
it's not a bad time. except that he has the link of our meeting. I don't know if chatting would help.
He just texted.
Oh,
His
okay.
computer froze, restarting quick.
Okay. Is everybody else feeling the last few weeks?
Yeah. I'm so ready to be done
Yeah.
for next semester. So it's like,
Oh,
I gotta go a week off.
yeah. Next week, I'm going to have my sister and her kids here all week.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Always a party, but it's always super stressful.
Yep, exactly. I it's also because like we missed the birthday of her daughter, her oldest, and Christmas, and so I have birthday/Christmas gift for them that I'm making. So I'm like losing my brain.
You're right.
Yay!
Yeah, sorry, the computer just completely froze.
Oh,
Entire
watch your. Oh, that's awful.
rarely ever have that happen. I have super fast internet and a really high tech computer, but I guess it happens all the same anyways.
Well,
Okay, so where are you guys at?
well, we didn't really go on. We just kind of, I think we've pretty much covered everything that we've
Needed
on
to.
there. Yeah.
Okay, so as a quick summary then of what we talked about, I think we all agreed that the first of what they can control, the first thing that needs to happen is getting a handle on how they treat each other and their teamwork. And then another major problem that they need to, once they get that figured out, once that they need to tackle is higher up people, I guess as we've been calling them, the higher ups. Yeah. Be able to solve the problems with staffing and the rewards. And as far as she goes, she can do better with as far as Barbara goes, she can then do better with recognition as well as the reviews, being able to review their employees. I don't know, does that sound about what we've
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
you know,
pretty much it.
anything else to add to that?
I don't think so.
I think that covers it.
Yeah, it was a pretty short case this week, so. So, right. Well, I guess if that's everything, any last comments about any of it?
Nope.
No.
No.
This one was pretty straightforward.
Yep.
So that was
I
nice.
agree.
Yeah, next week, same time.
And if you need to change things, or if anybody needs to change things, I do check my email last thing before I go to bed. And I'm fine to make any changes next week. This week I have a eye appointment right after, and the rest of my day is full. So that didn't work this week, but I will check late. I always check in late Wednesday night.
And I apologize that I keep having all this stuff come up and attempt to make changes that don't actually stick.
No worries. I know life is crazy and things happen. And I want to wish your wife well with everything. Hope everything goes well.
Yeah, well, it's just a minor surgery, so
That's good.
nothing huge.
That's always good.
Yeah.
They just have to go and repair because she went in for surgery a couple years ago and has had pain ever since. So they're just gonna go and repair the stuff that didn't end up healing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Well, that's good.
All right. Well, see you guys next week.
Okay.
Have fun.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.